Yeah, so I just wanted, I mean, I believe we chatted at the preview event, which was, yeah, last year, which I think we were all talking about.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
just like yesterday.
I don't know,
Yeah.
seriously,
Yes,
it does feel like that.
Yeah.
not so long
um,
ago.
yeah, so how are y'all? I mean, it's obviously been a while since the game launched in November. How have things been going? I see that you guys are super busy putting out patch after patch, which is crazy.
Well, we were busy, more than enough, because, well, a lot of work to do, starting from the beginning, like the development process never ends. And after release, as you mentioned, patch one, then patch two, then patch three, then multiple hot fixes. We are doing our best to deliver the best zone possible right now, and we'll continue to do so. So we are working, and we will continue working, and that's kind of how it is for us right now.
Because we owe our players. Like we have a lot to do for them because we are very thankful for this all this support they they gave us, and it's very inspiring. And this is the reason why we continue to do our job, because it this this feedback, this reaction, uh, it makes us happier and helps us to continue do our job.
Yep, and we're really uh, doing our best because this is like our world and our game that we truly love. So every day we are trying to make it just better.
Yeah. So, how long have y'all been at GSC individually? I don't know if y'all started at the same time.
I don't know. We can develop a pattern of who is answering first. Maybe I can go as the first one. So with GC, I'm a bit more than 4 years as a community and social media manager. So I'm the first one to face all the feedback, basically in all the forums, Steam, Reddit, Discord, social media DMs, with my colleagues within the also social media and community department. And have we have our ups and downs for all this 4.5 years. And right now we basically just listen to the players from our side and deliver info to the guys next to me on the camera on what to basically people want us to do or need us to do, sharing their feedback, their comments. And that's basically how we're doing right now. That's my 4 years at GSC game world. Presentations, tech, social media, all that stuff.
I believe in almost exactly the same amount of time for me. Like I work at GSC for exact 4 years. It's a long story. Uh, a lot of things to remember. It's a small life inside the company.
Yeah, for me also 4 years. Started like cinematic artist, then team lead of cinematic artists, and now I'm head of cinematics. So yeah, just doing our job here.
Basically, Ingvar got the biggest promotion since the beginning, I guess, from all of us. So he can go for all the credits.
Yeah. So, okay. So it looks like you guys have been working at the same time. You started at the same time too. So, were you fans of Stalker before you started with GSC?
Obviously, all of us started from there, from different ages. I remember downloading the Shadow of Chernobyl for the first time. And then I was so scared to play it that I asked my friend to come over to me and help me to get through the X slots, because I was too scared of playing it. And that's basically one of the core memories I've got about the Stalker series back in the days. And I played all three of them uh, just shortly after they were released. But after that, of course, I was basically, as all of the fans, just waiting for the news about Stalker 2. And then at some point, I've seen this job application for the GC Game World link applied, and then I become a part of this amazing team and amazing family. That's how it was for me.
I was 14 years old when the first Stalker came out, and at that moment, I can't even imagine that one day I will be the part of the team and doing the continuation of this great series. obviously, yeah, it's like the game of my childhood, and it's part of my childhood, and it's very important to feel and being a part of this team right now, and have the released a big released game such as Stalker 2.
Yeah, and I think my older brother showed me Shadows of Chernobyl, and it's pretty quick become my one of favorite game. So yeah, something like that.
So what was it like trying to create Stalker 2, which would make previous fans really happy, but also introduce new fans to the world of Chernobyl?
Well, that comes a lot to inspiration, basically. Original Stalkers is the core basic pillar of the Stalker 2, with all its beauty and all the things that we're trying and we basically fixed that were wrong with the previous Stalker series. And it is just like we look at the zone, we traveled there for multiple times. We take a personal look on the CNPP, the Chernobyl power plant. We walked through Pripyat. We scrambled through the abandoned villages and forest paths. And all this just diving into this atmosphere of abandoned city, abandoned place, that's already like an amazing part of the inspiration to the Stalker series as its core, as well as mechanics and the like level design and the story, of course. But from the development side, I guess guys will tell you a bit more than just a social media and community manager here.
Yeah, I feel like Stalker 2, it's so interesting because I think I had quite a few friends who were also not really familiar with the previous games play it, and they were very intrigued. And there's just so many different pieces of the map that honestly, I didn't really stick to the main story for a really long time just because I was so curious about exploring. Uh, and I have to ask because we do have the lead artist here. What is up with those creepy dolls that you find everywhere just randomly? Like I saw one at the top. I climbed this pillar and it was like at the very top, and they were just looking out, and I was like, I don't know what they need. What are they doing? And then like in another room, they were just like in the corner, like just staring at me. So what are why?
This is a part. Actually, this is a part of the whole um, atmosphere. You know, uh, this is a toys from that era. They might be scary even in normal life. That's why we actually wanted to add stuff like this. Like it's just a doll, but even a doll could be scary in this execution zone. Um, and fun fact, actually, I started as a outsourced 3D artist, and actually I was the one who made this doll, and it's very it's very funny to see like the people in YouTube or like in videos getting scared from this small 3D model, and it makes me uh, happier to see that, oh, cool, somebody spotted my old 3D model where like it's almost what I started from working on Stalker 2. So it's like the whole game consists of such small details, and it's great.
And actually, you know, if we will switch now to a real time, not real time, real story about Chernobyl zone, real tragedy that happens actually. So all these details and these little dolls, it's like um, you can imagine when tragedy happens, uh, people actually just leave everything behind. So it was like several days when they leave all their stuff, all their apartments and everything, and just move away from the city. So these toys and everything, this is like echo of that moment and that tragedy, and you really can find them in real Chernobyl zone. So this is like that detail that speaks about what actually happened there. So yeah,
If you
like
got
echo.
Yeah, if you got scared by this toys, I really do not suggest you going to the Chernobyl area and visit the kindergarten there,
Oh no.
Yeah.
because well, that was the building that scared me the most in real life, because that is the actual reality of the city, abandoned city right now, with the kindergarten, with all this creepy small beds for the kids, like for like 3 months old, just left behind in dust, with all these dolls, other toys. That's just, as Guy says, these are just small details that add this story to the game. And it was not placed there just to make you scared. It is like the reality, how the abandoned buildings and the abandoned city looks like.
It's like
Yeah.
actually like ghosts that speaks to you from uh, that actual tragedy and what happened there. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember you telling me that it feels like a place frozen in time, just because people did have to leave so immediately. So while I may not like them, I totally understand why the dolls are there, except for the one that was on top of this lookout tower, which people definitely had to bring up and place specifically. uh,
Yeah.
but I do love the environmental storytelling in Stalker 2. I thought that was something that I really enjoyed. Aside from um, killing random mutants that would run up on me. So I do love how much detail was put into the environments, the different shacks that you would even walk into, even if there was nothing there. So I think we did talk about this, but how much of the map is like a 1-to-1 of the Chernobyl site?
It's
Mm.
difficult to say exact numbers or a percentage, but we actually visited Chernobyl zone multiple times, trying to gather a lot of references and to recreate these buildings, these areas in our game as realistic as possible. So we try to do it like precisely the same, and at the same time consider the gameplay aspects, because you can't just create a museum. You have to find a balance between the gameplay and realistic aspect of the game.
One of my favorite things that we talked about at the demo was the translation and how sometimes Ukrainian, it's a little bit better at being more offensive than English, right? So, like, the translations aren't perfect. And I wanted to ask what it was like to try to find the right balance of, being direct and mean, but also translating right to English and vice versa.
Well, I just have to repeat the story that we told you a couple, like half a year ago already. Yeah. So Ukrainian language is just, it's very beautiful and perfectly sounded, and we all Ukrainians, that's our native tongue. That's why we know all the cultural differences, all these details we can add to the sentences, like mixing the words or giving the punctuation to the different spots of the sentence, just to make it sound better or sound different. And of course, as the native speakers in Ukrainian, we dedicate a lot of time to Ukrainian texts and voiceover, uh, because, well, the zone is in Ukraine, like Chernobyl exclusion zone. That's like what, 50 kilometers from Kiev. That's why with translation to English, it is always great balance between like cultural differences. We cannot translate the same, I don't know, curse word, for example, from Ukrainian to the English, because, well, it just doesn't have the translation at all, because it is very specific. So our translation team, localization team, just done their best with the help of, well, basically all the studio, just to try to catch all these details, cultural details that are familiar to all over people all over the world in English, and trying to recreate this Ukrainian, like Ukrainian small details that we add to our native language. For me, for the person who can compare both, I can surely say that is a very great translation we have right now, both voice acting and text. But at the same time, I should admit that, of course, some specific Ukrainian detail just cannot be translated to English the same way, like some, for example, American or Australian or English sentences or cultural differences, specific words, catchphrases cannot be properly translated to our Ukrainian language. So we've done our best, and I'm really proud of the translation we have. But it is what it is, just two languages, and we are native speakers in Ukrainian. That's why I strongly suggest everyone to play with Ukrainian voiceover and English subs to better feel these emotions, feelings, and how the actors play.
That's how I play, and I feel like it's the right. I feel like it's fully immersive that way too, right? I feel like that's the best way to play it. But it is very funny. I think I posted a clip. I forget what it was, but it was me talking to this guy, and he was just like, I don't know, he seemed kind of just fed up with things, and he said something, and someone who's Ukrainian was like, oh, hey, the translation says this, but it's a little bit more like this. So it was very cool to kind of have that overlap, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I love getting, you know, a little bit more of like the cultural background there, because there's a lot in Korean that's also like that, which I did see there is Korean subtitles, so I'm just like, oh my god, I wonder how close it is with other languages. So it's very interesting that there's so many different captions available too. So is there a language that you've noticed is a little bit closer to Ukrainian in terms of like phrases or anything?
It's hard to justify basically and compare the
Yeah.
languages. All the languages from, for example, Poland, Belarus, like Bulgaria, like all this Slavic,
Yeah.
let's say Eastern European group of languages. And they're all different, but it is pretty easy that we can try to understand each other. For example, me understanding Czech language is fine. Sometimes, yeah, and for the guys also. So that's just how it is. We cannot compare our Ukrainian translation to any other languages that we're non-native to.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What was your favorite phrase that a character in Stalker 2 said? Maybe something that you also use in everyday languaging?
I need to think about that. Oof.
Yeah, we actually do, but when you asked about it, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
difficult to
I put
remember.
you on the spot.
Yeah.
Maybe not the phrase, but the scene that I was surprised when I tested the game first and seen it like in the development cycle. There was the scene where Skiff comes to Korshunov and Korshunov dismantles the AK, and then Skiff throws it to Skiff, and then he is assembling it back. That was kind of okay, mate. You got something here, and that was the best. Well, the most remembering one for me. But that's not a phrase, that's a scene. So sorry for
No,
not a
that's
direct answer to your question. But
still
yeah, that's a
works,
scene.
yeah.
Maybe cinematic director will also have his favorite scene here.
Well,
Yeah.
if we speak about Korshunov, I really love everything that he speak about and how he do it in both languages, Ukrainian and English, because you know, Korshunov, it's maybe one of my favorite characters in the game, and his expressions, and he's like this so brutal man, real man. I really love him and everything he do. Just perfect, perfect man for me. Yeah.
Another problem might be that our like favorite phrases may consist some swearing, you know,
Oh, that's fine with me.
because
That's
like
fine.
some emotional
Mm.
emotional scenes and emotional phrases, like why do I need the bolt or something like that
Yeah,
in the very
yeah,
beginning
yeah.
of the game. And sometimes we use the same phrases and just change the one or two words, but you still understand where it comes from, like what are you referring. uh, and mostly, yeah, it's Korshunov and Dalin's interactions, and Korshunov and Skif interactions, or probably Skif and Richter interactions. There are so many, this chemistry in their interaction. Um, so there are a lot of moments you're like repeat from time to time.
Yeah,
And
Richter.
that
Actually,
and that all thanks to amazing team of actors and voice actors and mocap actors that
and
did all of these expressions like facial animations, and again all the dev team for um, were able to to transfer all this real acting in the mocap in the sound studio to the game in such a way, because that's the teamwork. And I was on the mocap when we filmed the mocap scenes. I was filming shots for Dev Diaries and all this future posts about how we did it with this mocap, and I've seen the scenes, and we were all there, like I guess all the studio was at once on the mocap stage, and the actor play was amazing, like the voice acting, and even just the script, thanks to our narrative team. I don't know, I just enjoy it.
and voiceover directors also, because a big part of this job are on them. So yeah.
And speaking of phrases, some of them even are on our merch. Like the zone
Aw.
gave me life. It's
Mhm.
kind of an example. This is a phrase that Sherlock says in one of the scenes.
Actually, speaking of, so you don't like, it's so interesting. So you don't like spoilers, even if they've been like, if a game's been out for a really long time. So with Stalker 2, have you seen people go back to the previous Stalker games? Have you seen a rise in those numbers or anything?
Well, I'm not within the business development department to
Mm.
analyze like the Steam metrics or like any other metrics about the game, but we definitely saw that in the social media and community. So a lot of people were coming back to the previous series, writing comments, messaging us, asking questions about different things like plot, like game mechanics, how to do this, how to do that. We are happy that Stalker 2 was a great entrance to the series for those who skipped or even didn't know at all about the previous game existence. So right now, like we are just happy that players are coming back to the roots, like to the original games. And we are also happy that console players right now can experience Stalker series on consoles with this Legends of the Zone. Yeah. So we're just happy, and it's great to see people jumping into the zone, looking at it from different timelines, and also experiencing mods for the original series, because there are tons of them. So Dawn is slightly like grabbing people into her hands.
I will admit, I definitely used a few mods, maybe one so that I could carry a little bit more, just because I love looting everything. It is a problem. Uh, I don't know what it is, but I just love looting and then like selling things back. It's really
Yeah.
fun. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, because even if I have all the money in the game, sometimes I don't even spend it all. So I don't know why I do, but it's very fun to have that. Just because I did realize at a certain point I was inching my way across the zone just to get to a vendor because I was carrying so much. And I was like, I think I have a problem. So I'm very glad someone else had the problem and made the mod for it. So
Yeah.
Have you
I
found
can.
all the specific weapons, like unique?
no, I don't think so. No, there's so much to explore because like every time I find a note, I find another cache. So, but sometimes I stumble across them, so I haven't seen all of them yet. But I think the very first cool weapon I got was the one where you go up to the water tower. I think it's like a scoped sniper or
Yes.
assault rifle. Yeah, I did like that a lot.
I really can understand you well because actually exploring, I think, is the biggest part for me in Stalker game. So when I'm playing, I really try to just look everything
Yeah.
in every house, in every. Uh, so I understand you well about looting and finding all stuff on the map.
I'm very glad, yeah, because it is a problem. I turn into a raccoon in video games, but it's okay. That's what it's here for.
No, I think it's fine. I can understand it. Great.
I did want to ask about all the patches that you have are just there's so much content to them. How long did it take you to get to the latest patch 1.3? Like how long was that big update in development for?
Well, we basically right now have the structure of like major patches, let's say that's 1.1, 1.2, and additional hot fixes to them that are fixing the things that were, for example, occurred after the deploying of the major patch. And well, we obviously got a patch planning structure. We know when the patch will come, or at least we have the time frame to basically like develop, test, and then deliver. I'm not sure that I can share any details about how it's going inside, but we're just delivering the patches as soon as ready, and we're trying to fix or to add as much as possible because right now we already pretty done a lot of work with this bug fixing, story plot blockers, all of that. And now we are just heading over to NDA because, well, I hope in the future, in the near future, the roadmap that we are going to showcase to the players will give a give them an opportunity to take a look on what's planning for the nearest time.
Yeah, no, I mean you don't want to give me all of your trade secrets. Like, no, I'm just kidding. It's okay.
No, it's just really like we are developing patches. It's pretty common thing in game development. You've seen that something is, for example, broken, or you want to add something to the game. You do your research, you develop, you test, you implement for different mechanics, for different stuff in the game. It takes longer or shorter periods. So something is like for the long-term planning and long-term patches, something can be delivered right now, right here. Our main and core focus is like, of course, fixing bugs that were on the start of the game. And right now we're slightly moving towards like both fixing and adding something new. Let's say that our community is really asking us to add into the game. But here I will stop myself for joining Bilima and putting the tape on my mouth because I like to overshare with the community as a community manager.
I'm sure they appreciate that a lot.
Send the
Right.
like.
Yeah. I do love how receptive y'all seem to be, especially with I because I played at launch. I do remember the NPCs being very good at aiming for my head, and I remember that being balanced. It was I believe it was that their shooting accuracy was fixed as well, and I think that made a lot of people happy. But it was very funny because I was like, I mean, if these people are out living in this area, of course they would be good at shooting, but also it's very frustrating for me because I can't see them. They're so good at hiding. So it's very interesting to see like how receptive you are to these comments, and it's really great. I think that sort of transparency and that sort of listening with the community is often lost on developers nowadays. So it's very cool that you are that in touch with the community.
We just mentioned that basically in every patch now that each patch is based on the community feedback. Sometimes it may feel like, oh, come on, like the big company is saying obvious words to the people. But I don't know, in our case, you can believe us or not, these guys sitting here were like reading Reddit, subreddit of Stalker, and watching YouTube comment sections on the different review videos and all of that. And we've got
Yeah.
plenty, tons, hundreds, I maybe even 1,000 messages in Slack channels, both private and company ones, with screenshot of comments like, guys, here's something, or here is the comment on the Reddit that got a lot of upvotes, for example, or this thing is trending right now. Oh, on the Steam community page, this topic on the forum got like 400 comments. So basically something here is happening and we need to listen here clearly. It's both for something popular and something like not popular, because as community and social media from our side, we are trying to read as much as possible, trying to read every comment, and we got this delivery systems of feedback that we basically collecting something, then sharing it with the team. But the team is not a separate part. They are also watching everything. They're also taking a look at everything that is happening on the internet. That's why each patch addresses things that players asked us most, and of course also based on our capabilities to deliver the things they want us to deliver. So for example, rebalancing the accuracy, well, that could be done, not should say fast, but it could be done like, okay, fast enough. So we did it, but something that is more complex, we still listen, and we admit it in our social media that we note a lot of things, but some things should be researched and developed, and it will take a bit longer time period to do so. So everything is based on like community feedback.
Yeah, it would be fair to say that everybody in our team reads, watches, and analyze all these comments. Sometimes the person can't even imagine he just left this comment, and he has no any idea that some developer actually saw his feedback and probably took a note, and because we want to fix all of that, but unfortunately we just can't do it at one moment. You know, we still have to prioritize and to find a balance of like what is really needed now and what can wait for a little. Yeah, but we really read and understand what our fans are expecting. So it's really important for us as well.
It's actually like a part of our job after release. Not only part of job, it's like natural part of our curiosity to know actually what's happened there. Yeah, and game is really huge, complicated. So we are trying to fix everything that looks not super ready. And really, we're trying to do the best in what are doing. So we really hear and read about every problems and trying to fix everything every day, actually.
I feel like that's pretty apparent with how long the patch notes are. Even with Steam, I do remember looking at the Steam patch notes, and then how the longer patch notes will be on the site. And I already thought, well, this is a lot. What do you mean? There's more. So it's I feel like it's very apparent. The community is also very, I think, forgiving, because I think a lot of people do love some of the things that happen in Stalker 2. I remember one thing that happened. Sometimes, like I would kill someone and their body would just like fly away, and I loved that. Honestly, I was like, I hope this never goes away because it's very fun. So I think there's little things like that that people kind of enjoy. But it is very interesting to hear that you are all on the different forums, the YouTube pages, because I feel like that could get very exhausting. But I do feel like Stalker has a very good community, at least from what I've seen. And even with the documentary, I had no idea that Stalker meetups were a thing, which is really cool.
Yes, they were popular like straight from the release of the original series. Like they were in Ukraine, in Poland. Like I'm not aware of like major events somewhere, for example, in North America, but I probably there were something. But because we are like Stalker is positioned like the post-apocalyptic game, basically all the fans of post-apocalyptic genre are really interested in the game, in the concept of the zone, of the abandoned place, of the mutants and anomalies and all these things. And we've got a lot of messages of, uh, "Hey guys, would you like to meet up with us somewhere in, for example, in Czech Republic on the strike ball, like or paintball match, which is themed as like mutants versus players, or for example, like freedom versus beauty or something." So yeah, meetups are popular, and the community within like Stalker series is just amazing, and we're just happy to have that community, and that's why we're so dedicated to the game. That's the part of it, because with such community, with such a strong relationship, uh we want to make people happy about playing the zone and fulfill their expectations, for example, about the Stalker 2.
And with the documentary, what was it like when what was the decision, and like when did your team decide to start filming the documentary during the process of making Stalker 2?
Let me say like this here, because to make the documentary was not the first purpose of basically the documentary. As like, for example, from my team, as the like community and social media, and I was filming a lot for potential dev diaries somewhere in the future. So we're like, okay, I will film mock-up scenes, or I will film like our travel to Pripyat, for example. So we understood that maybe like before the Russian invasion of Ukraine started, like the full scale, we understand that okay, we will need some footage from the game development for future marketing purposes, which is pretty obvious. And when we got the opportunity to make this documentary with the help of like Xbox Microsoft team, we just pull up all the archives. We had like hundreds of terabytes of video and photos, and it pays off. It just paid off that we had everything, and we were able to tell the story, our personal stories, the company story, like how it was, especially in the first days of invasion, when we evacuated like the office and people are moving from like on the buses. That was all like, we just need to film it, just for, first of all, for our memory, to understand and to remember for ourselves. And we were glad that we were able to show that with the world through this documentary.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was very important to have that. So it's very good that you already had that. That we should have this for like dev diaries, behind the scenes stuff. So I think it's very fortunate that it lined up. I mean, the circumstances are not fortunate, but I'm very glad that people got to see everything that you had to go through to make the game. And I think there was a line that was said about the game persevering through it, and also Ukraine persevering through it, which I thought it hit me pretty hard. And I'm very happy that Stalker 2 is here and the people are being so kind with it and being patient. Yeah, I feel like it's something that a lot of people seem to understand with Stalker 2 specifically. And it's very nice to see that kindness here.
Well, I'm glad you take your time to watch this documentary, because that's a long documentary basically, and the stories that were told are. We're just happy that we were able to share all of this with everyone.
Yeah.
I will frame it like this, because we all wish that this documentary don't happen at all, because like nobody wants the crazy neighbor sitting next to your country and trying to invade it. But if it's already happened, the documentary also shared our perspective on this, and we're just glad that we were able to share our stories with the world in such type, in such type of a video.
Yeah, and the most important part here that it's like the other side of development, because uh, the most sad part of it that it is continue to happen now. It is not about past or something like that. Yeah, we have released the game, but that situation, the war actually, it is happening right now. So the biggest part of our team and our studio are in Ukraine, in Kiev. So th- th- they're living every day under the rockets attacks and everything like that. So it's pretty scary, and it is not ended for this moment. It is actually continuation of our everyday uh, work in this kind of conditions. Yeah, this documentation is very important because not everyone realize that how actually this game was created and what people who lives in Ukraine feels and what actually happens there. Yeah, so this is a part of our reality.
So there is always a human part in even while you're playing the game. It's important to remind that to remember that behind this game there are a lot of people with different stories, and so basically the human part of the process.
I think that was definitely captured very well. I feel like, even talking about it, it makes me feel emotional because it was just such a raw, like very transparent documentary because it did catch, it did catch you in these moments of vulnerability and you were able to share that with everyone, which I think was a huge part in at least gamers specifically being like, okay, wait, obviously there's something big going on in Ukraine because, some gamers are not exactly the best at keeping up with world news. So I feel like this definitely helped them open their eyes to what's happening. And then getting, personal details from developers that they know from the Stalker series that they really love. I think it was very important. And yeah, it's very. I do see in the forums people asking about like, oh, are they doing better? Like, how's it going? And even though I think a majority of your team is in Prague now, is that correct still?
I guess we're split somewhere around 50-50 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, with Prague and Kiev, and also not only Kiev, like remotely all over Ukraine. That's why it's very hard to tell, are we okay right now? Obviously, not so, because like still half of the team and hearing air raid sirens every day, Russian missiles and drones are like flying above the heads and can target anyone anywhere. Or like Russian missile doesn't care at all about like with its civilian, is it kids, is it hospital, and yeah. We also showed the footage of the bombed metro station that is literally in miles. Oh, okay, it's somewhere around 1 kilometer, which is like, okay, close to 1 mile from the office. And you can only imagine that people who are working in Kiev, that's their basic metro station to jump off and go to work to the office. And in the right, and for example, if it was like, I don't know, any of our colleagues could be on the place of that damaged station while the missile rocket attack, which is so I could say that we are okay. That's just unfortunately the world we are already used to. That is the most strange and yeah, I should say strange part of living when you try to see and these things as usuals already, unfortunately. Like these things happen. It's very hard to understand for the people, and I never wish anyone to understand how it is. But yeah, everyday air raid sirens is usual already, which is like what? But it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I think that that footage brought it into perspective because I also did take public transportation into the office, right? So it's something that I think a lot of people can see and be like, "Oh my god, it's actually that close," right? Like seeing it is different from reading it, which is why I think the documentary is so important on so many different fronts for showcasing what it's like to be a developer, but also a developer in wartime when you have no control over what happens. But you do have control over the game, and I can only hope that the community has been very kind and very supportive throughout all of this. As far as I can see, it seems like they have been. Um, but
We
yeah,
have,
I'm glad you had that.
yeah, we have a really supportive community. We feel it, and it was a little bit even we didn't expect so much supporting, and again that's why we want to make our game even better because we feel this support, and that's a very important.
I feel like Stalker also brings people together in a weird way, even though it's about, playing it your own way. You can be, kind of an asshole or you can be a nice guy. I played a mix of both. Sometimes I would feel really bad and I would go back and re-roll a decision.
Oh,
Like
come on.
I know.
Come on.
I know, but I felt really
Stick to
bad.
your stick to your true self. The zone is about
Ah,
finding your true self. If you want to be
well,
an asshole, well, maybe take a
Please
look in the
welcome.
mirror.
yeah, I
like
know. Like the guy who asked me to fish out his gun from the pond, uh I thought maybe I
yeah,
could get
let's
away
judge
with
right
it.
now. Let's judge right
No,
now. Okay,
no.
so
You kept this weapon, right?
yes, what did
Okay,
he do?
so the first time I gave it back and he was like, "Oh, thanks." I was like, "I don't get
That's it?
anything for this?" Yeah, so I went back and then I was like, what if I just walk away? Does it just stay? And then he yelled after me like, "Oh, typical." And I was like, "Oh, damn it." So I can't get away from the decision, which I thought was very smart. And then I forget what his name was. But there was this guy who I had been asked to kill, but he was like, "Hey, I'll pay you and you can let me get away." I was like, "Okay, sure." Took the money. And then as soon as the quest ended, I killed him. So I was
Guy
like,
Well,
from a windmill, no?
yeah,
That's your
now you know
decisions.
who you are. Yes.
yeah.
Most
Also,
important part, you didn't do the reload on the previous save to give the gun back to the person. You just walk away, feel ashamed, but still you walked away. You continue playing.
Yeah.
And now you kill the guys that you just take the money from.
It's the
So
zone. Like,
welcome to the zone, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, yes.
No one is judging you here. No
Yeah.
one.
There is no bad or good decisions. It's only your decisions. The way you're exploring this world, and
and yeah, and
basically,
actually, Zone never was about, like black and white. It's always like a gray morale, like these different shades of more complicated things. So this is about Zone, and this is our game about this. It's like the design itself. So trying to be yourself in this world, I think uh, it is a good way.
I think for me, it's about finding as many loopholes as I can. But you have made the game so tight that there's very little loopholes. Like, I thought, oh, if I walk away from him, he won't say anything, right? Like, it won't end the quest. And it ends, and he's like, this guy. Typical. I was like, no. And then, but the guy that I got to kill after I took his money, I was like, okay, I don't feel too bad about that. He was kind of a bad guy. It's fine. So,
Did you ever shoot bandits who insulted you?
oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yes, it's interesting because there's so many times I want to test, like, can I kill this guy and get away with it? Like, I don't know what is okay here. So I love that the game kind of tests this, like, you can, but do you feel good about it? How do you feel? You know, it's very funny. But it's also very like introspective. You're just like, oh my God, am I really this kind of person in this situation? Would I be like this? So it's very interesting.
Our like all the thanks to our script and narrative teams who designed these quests and plots and interesting endings to the quests you thought would play differently.
Yeah, I thought I would just get away with it, but you know, it's okay. That guy just thinks I'm a typical stalker, but whatever. I wasn't going to change his mind about that anyway, so it's fine.
Welcome to the zone.
I know. Oh, it is very cool though. It makes me, I love the idea of a stalker too. Like I started, so because this was my first entry, I started reading like the wiki pages and the lore because I was like, okay, what is this? And what are the stalkers really? Because I was like, there's another zone, like outside of the zone, people live, but like only the really brave people seem to go into the zone. So it was very interesting reading all of the lore and how much there was, which I feel like I definitely would like a stalker TV show. I think that'd be very fun.
Yeah.
I would watch that, or even like an anime. I would be so into that. Anything more with stalker would be very cool.